Hello everyone. Today I want to talk about some basics of Python. I have a programming exam tomorrow morning and I want to practice the general aspect before the exam, and I said why not record it and post it on YouTube. So yeah, I have my Jupyter Notebook here. I will use it today. As you know, in Python we have some main data types, which are Boolean, it can be true or false. We have integers which are like, let's say 10. We have float, which are numbers with decimals. We have strings, which is just basically text. We have lists, which you have different items. It can have different items. And we have dictionaries, which is more, which has key and value. It goes on like these are the basic data types. I just want to show like I can say x equals 10, which will be an integer. Then we can say y is 3.14, which is a float. Then we have name. My name is Selçuk. And we have booleans is ready. Yes, I am ready for the exam tomorrow. And yeah, these are the basic data types. We can print them. If I say print x, it's just 10. If I say print y, it's 2.14. If I say print name, it is Selçuk. If I say print is ready, it is true. And we have some numeric operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, exponentation, modulus, floor division, equal, not equal, higher, lower, higher or equal, lower or equal, and so on and so on. And we can say x equals 1 plus 2 and print x will be 3, or yeah, something like this. We can have some lists. I will say numbers equal 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and we can have another list students equals is a dictionary. Let's say students name will be Alice, for example, and age will be 22, and her grade will be 100. And if I say print numbers, we will print all the numbers. If I say print student, this is not student, so I will just delete the S. We will have numbers, and we will have the student, Alice, 22 years old, grade 100. If I want to be more specific, I can say numbers index of 0, which will print the first index, and I can say student name, and this will be index 0 of the numbers, which is 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. In programming, we start from 0 when we are counting, so this gives us the index 0 of the numbers, which is 1, and in our dictionary we have the name key, which is Alice. And if I continue quickly, we can have loops and conditionals. We can have a for loop. Let's say I want to print num in numbers, which will be if number is, when I get the modulus of the number is equals to 0, in that case we will print we will use an F statement when we want to print a variable in our output string. So this will be our number, and is even, else print parenthesis F, we say num instead of the is out. So if I try this, you can see in numbers, which we have 1, 2, 3, and 5, 1 is when we divide 1 by 0, 1 by 2, it's not 0, so it is odd. When we divide 2 by 2, it is modulus is 0, so it is even, and so on and so on. And we have other statements like if, else. I mentioned about the list. We can have different Boolean operators like and, or not. You can use one of these, like 1 and 1 is 1, 0 and 1 is 0, 1 or 0 is 1, or in other cases 1 not 1, which is, it doesn't make sense. But yeah, basically if there's an and, they need to be 1 to be able to be have the output 1. If you have or statement, you just need one of them to be correct. When you say 0 or 0, it's 0, of course. And we have dictionaries. When we want to access the key, we just give it here. And I will say this is the basics. I don't know, like look. Oh, I can talk about like if statement quickly. I can say if something, like if is ready. If you remember, we had is ready earlier, saying true. If is ready, if I am ready, I will say print get the best score, which will give which will be is ready is true, so it will make it that I get the best score. I want to show some string manipulations we can use. Let's say I have a text which will have so many white spaces. I will say hello Python, other spaces, and I will say print. We will have the text. I will use strip method, which will remove the white space. If I what's the problem? I said text. It's text, and yeah, it removes the white spaces from the beginning and end of the string. I will say print text dot lower, which will make the letters go to lowercase, but it doesn't remove the white spaces. I can say text dot upper, which will make the letters uppercase. You can see I can say print, what's with you? Print, I don't know, text dot replace a string, which will be, in this case, I will replace Python and world, which will be, instead of hello Python, we are replacing the Python with world, so we say hello world. Also, I want to say text equals text strip. Does it work? Doesn't work. I will, in that case, I will just remove the print statement. And now, yes, at least I removed the white spaces from the beginning and the end. We can assign a variable like this, and these are like the basic string manipulations. I want to talk about list operations quickly. We will have numbers again. We had it before, but why not again? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. If I say numbers dot append, I can add an element. If I say 7, it will append number 7 to the, I don't know why, but we had a problem in that cell, so I'm moving on. We have numbers, I append number 7, and we can say numbers dot insert, which will, in this case, we will need to insert at the index. So at the index of 2, I will insert 10, which, as you know, index 2 means 0, 1, and 2. So in the index 2, we add 10, as you can see in the third element. I can say numbers dot remove, and I will remove 3, and as you can see, 3 is gone. And I can see numbers dot pop, which will remove the last element, which was 7 we added before, and it's gone. And if you want to comprehension the list, you can say squared equals, I will make a new list using the old one, but square the elements for x in numbers, and then I will print squared, which will give us the squared list of for the numbers. And I talked about conditional statements like a for loop. We also have a while loop that's very similar to the for loop, but I will say count equals 0. We will count a number, and when count is less than 5, we want to print f count, and then I will say plus count plus equals 1, which will increment the count every time we are in the while loop. This means when we are having the count number is 0 at the beginning, and while it's less than 5, we will print the count, and then we will increment it by 1. And when it's in the 4 and the loop is finished, then count equals 5, then we are stopping the loop. And then we have dictionaries and sets. I showed the dictionary before. Here, name, Alice, and stuff. You can add values in this case. I can say student. I will add a variable called city, which will be Berlin, and before printing it will be smarter. And I will print the whole student. And as you can see, now we added Berlin as a city, and we can have sets which will have unique numbers, which will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's have like more for than usual. And if I want to add unique nums dot add 6, and then I say print unique nums. As you can see, because this is a set, it will not have the duplicates. Even I have 3 4s in my declaration. When I print them, it only prints the uniques, and you can use add to add something to it. And we have functions and lambda expressions. If I say def grade, which will be a function, and it will receive the name, which will return, and statements say f hello name. And if I say print greet, now when I call greet method, I need to give it a name. I will say Sam, something simple. It will say hello Sam. We make the function, and we have lambda, which is basically like, let's say when I want to square a number, I will say lambda x squared 2, and if I say print square and give it 5, it will give me 25. Basically, this is like when you want to declare a function and use it multiple times, but the lambda is like when you want to use it once and like have a simple call for the function, you can use it. I want to mention of list operations, common list operations in Python quickly. We can declare an empty list saying L equals to empty list. We can declare with an list with items. In this case, 0, 1, 2. It will have 4 items. We can have a list with sublists. We can have a list with iterable items, list of characters. In this case, we have list of spam. We can have list with successive integers, which will have the integers between range -4 to 4. We can have a list of we can have the index of the list. We can have nested indexing. We can have slicing, we can get the length of the list, we can concatenate or repeat two lists together just using plus sign, addition sign. We can repeat the list 3 times. We can iterate and get members of the list for it will print the elements of the list in one line. And if we can check if an item is in the list or not. And it's not defined, we don't need this. L1, who cares about L1? And yeah, here you see, yeah, these are the command list operations. There's some functions, I mentioned some of them, but I will walk through them quickly again. We have append function to add an element to the end. We have extend, we can add multiple elements. We have insert, we can insert an element at specific index of I, the element we want, I showed before. We can find the index of the element using index function. We can count the occurrences of an element. Let's say count 2, you can see how many 2's in that element, or when you say when you have a string or you want to find a specific character, you can count it. You can sort the list, like when I have random numbers between 1 to 10 and I want them in an order, I can just call it sort. You can reverse the list, of course. You can copy the list to work on it. It's useful some cases. You can just clear the list. You can remove the index at I. If you leave it empty, it will remove the last element I showed it before. You can remove the specific element from the list. You can delete the element at index of I. Self-explanatory. You can remove a slice. You can pick numbers between, like let's say I can say, this is not a list, but in this list I can say let's remove index 1 to 4, which will remove the items in that slice. You can assign new values when you use slice, like as a slice. You can comprehension to lists, I showed it before. Apply a function to each element in the list, that's also possible. You can get your list, and I don't even remember what this is, but yeah, you can do something with the list. And then we have some, I don't care, we have some string operations which are quite useful in some cases. We can have an empty string. We can have double quotes, same as a single quotes in the string, depends how you want to call it. But if you want to have a single quote, you better call double quotes on the outside, because other cases the program will not know what you want to, when you want to end the list. So when you start with double, you have to finish with double. You can have escape sequences. I will like to have, I will talk about this later maybe. You can have triple quoted block strings, which is a possibility. You can have row strings without escapes. Byte strings, calling byte, this is for row. And U is for unique quote strings. You can concatenate two strings. You can repeat the same string 3 times. You can get the index of the string. You can slice a string. You can get length of the string. You can format the expression. Yeah. And you can format with the method. let's see if they are working. S1, S2, let's remove this. SI, no need for this. And kind, okay. Let's define kind equals kind. And yeah, you see, you can get the kind as a input. And move this, and move this. And S is at the end. This was the last S, was it? I don't know. Okay, these were some of the string operations. We can also use other methods. You can find a specific match in the string. You can search in the string. You can remove white space. We used it before. You can replace the thing you want to find in your string with anything you want. You can split on delimiters. You can test if it is digits. You can lower. We talked about this. You can add a end test. You can delimiter a join. You can use unique encoding, Unicode decoding. You can iterate from the membership. You can test the membership. You can list comparisons. You can apply or to match element in the link. I don't even think these are like going to be in the exam, so I don't care for myself. And there's match. If these matches a string, I will just skip this. I don't want to spend too much time on this. I want to check some questions. And for example, if I want to know what like hello will return, I can guess 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which will return 5. Let's say I have a variable list called 1, 2, and 3. If I were to call my var1, it will be in this case 2 because 0, 1, and 2. If I wanted to have I can have a list in Python. I can have a tuple, which is not changeable list. Basically, we can have dictionary. We talked about this also. These are the data types, some storage types in the Python dictionary. I made a typo. It's not a problem. If I have a variable called, let's say 1, 2, 3. If I print this will be 1, 2, 3 as a string. But if I say int x and then I print x, this will be 1, 2, 3 as in the form of integer. This is how you convert a string to an integer. Convert str to int. And same with the other way, I can have a y value which will be 1, 2, 3 as a number. And if I were to print y, it will be 1, 2, 3. And if I were to say str y, it will be string in this version. As you can see, integer, this is string. There's also some other methods you can use. when I have, let's say, count equals 0 while count is less than 5, I want to print something, print f count and I will say if count equals let's say 3, I will say pass. Oops, we forgot to increment. No, stop. Yep, that's why you always need to put statements. Nice. What you were saying, I said count equals 0 while count is less than 5. I will print the count, then if count equals 3, I will say pass, and again I made the same mistake. Why am I making the same mistake again? While count is less than 5, print count plus plus, and if count equals 3, then I will say pass. It doesn't work. Why? Count 0. What was my problem? Break. I'm not good with remembering the syntax. Let's move this. Okay, I don't know. Oh. This one. Yeah, I don't know. It's supposed to work something like this, but I think this is enough for the basics. We talked about data types and variables, string manipulation, list operations, and conditional statements and loops. And I think we also talked about dictionaries and sets, functions, lambda expressions, and this is, I would call this is enough for basics, and we can continue with file handling. Alright, now let's talk about file handling. I will just copy and paste because I don't want to spend too much time writing them myself. So if I were to say I want to write to a file, I can use open statement, and I can say open sample.txt file and use W for writing. And I can write hello, this is a test file, and then I can open the same file and read it. I didn't have the file before, but now I have the sample file which we created. Or to show, we can also open using another way, like this. I can say fopen test.txt. This is the file I created. It just says test and some random strings, and I can just see, like, I open the text, and if I want to print the index of the test, there's a list of functions we can use. We can say read f, which will interesting. If I say x read f. Oh, because yeah, we are opening the test file, but we can say read. It doesn't work. Why? Open read files. Let's check quickly. f.read. That was my problem. I need to say f.read, not just. Okay. And hello, this is a test file. It's working good. This was the file handling. There's other methods we can use. Open, read, strip, split. Let me show quickly. This is some operations that can be useful. We are using open to open files. We are using read to read files. We can use strip method to strip strings that removes white space. We showed before. We can use split method to split like text into the with new lines. We can check if some string starts with something specific. We can append. We can search, group, replace, join, split into lines, and yeah. Okay, so let's try this. I will say, for example, what was it? Sample.txt. We can say file dot split by new line, which doesn't work. Oh yeah, because this is not a these are for strings. This is not a string, this is a, but we can use it. So as you know, we are getting the x variable, not this one, but after we are opening and reading the file into a variable, then I can work on it. I can say split, for example, new lines, which will give this test, which is splitting to the new lines, and we can we can use other commands, but not really necessary. I will pass it in this case. Let's check for regex or regular expressions, more commonly called. First, we need to import the regex library from Python, and let's say I have a pattern which will be \b Python \b and text equals I am learning Python programming, and we will match if it is, we will check if it's matching the pattern. We are using search function, text, and we will print match dot group if match, else no match. And yes, our pattern is between words, which \b means words. We are looking for Python, and our text is some words Python and some more words, and we are matching the search, our pattern in our text, and then we are checking if the match is a group, and if not, no match. But because of we have a match, then we are basically printing the match we found. And I mean, we can spend more time on regex, but I will move on a little bit quickly. Let me see some exercises maybe I can talk about. Okay, so I have some exercises which will be our text is my favorite, our pattern will be regex \b \d 3 and \b, and I will just copy this line. So what we have here is a text. What we are looking is a pattern, which is regex. Between the B is for word boundary, and we have D for exactly 3 digits. That's why we have the curly braces and the number inside this, and this basically means that we have a text, and in that text between the words we have a 3-digit number, and when we are checking the text we have some text, we have some words, but we have some numbers, which is D, but what we need is a 3-digit number, so we have 1 2 3, which is our answer. Another example, it would be this: text equals Anna, Bob, and Charlie went to market to buy some apples. Pattern would be this, and in this case we have between the word boundaries we have a word starting with uppercase letters and continues with lowercase letters, which would, when I copy and paste this, which you can see, it will check Anna, Bob, and Charlie. Even though we're looking for okay, let me see what's the mistake we made here. Yeah, I think I made a mistake using this, but it's okay. Basically, the output was supposed to be Anna, Bob, and Charlie because they are all starting with uppercase letters and continue with lower cases, but we only printed Anna. And again, another text is, and our pattern will be this, meaning between the word boundaries we have letters starting with vowels, and in this case we will check the pattern in our vowels. And let me check. And yeah, this will print this will print the words starting with vowels, which is in, east, and in. I should use another function to search for this, but let's check quickly. Yes, because I am searching for it, but I need to call find all. And in this case, we need to group it. I can just say okay, now it is better. I am using find all to find the pattern in our text, and the first one I told you we are looking for words with starting with upper cases, and the second one we are looking for words with vowels, and so on. And we talked about regular expressions, so I will skip to the basics of the pandas, which we will need to import pandas library to be able to work on them. Let's say we have a data dictionary. It will have name and a list of names: Alice, Bob, Charlie, and we have another key for the ages of these characters in the list: 22, 25, 28, whatever. df will be data file pd dot data frame, which will get the data. In this case, we created a data frame using pandas pd, and we want to print it, and we will also say print df dot describe method. So okay, we imported pandas, we made a data dictionary with names and ages. We are basically declaring a list in the dictionary, and when we print the data frame that we created, our index 0 is Alice, 22 years old, Bob, 25 years old, Charlie, 28 years old, with names and ages as our keys. And when we are describing the when we want to describe the data frame, as you can see, we have the count, we have the mean, and we have other details. And this is like the most basic explanation of Panda, I would say. And in my case, for examples, we can have a data frame called we can have a CSV file that has like list of, I don't know, NBA players, and that's CSV of course, and you can open this data frame, or like you can work on this data frame saying drop now and let's go start by side. So we are reading a data frame into pandas df, and when I say drop na, it removes all rows with missing values. And if I were to say df and like find the key, like name of the players, I can work on this data saying like name, let's say the place, and I will be replacing the names with other names as I wanted to use. So, and then I can declare it as a type string, and yeah, I can use methods with data frames of the pandas. I think there's a list, so I will just talk about them quickly. After declaring our df data frame, you can do lots of so many implementations with that. So there's a cheat sheet that shows you some basic functions you can use. I will give it a link in the description. It's also like in the pandaspydata.org. You can check, but most of them are like self-explanatory. Like sum is for sum, count is like counting on empty values. You can get the median, quantile, apply. You can get the mean, maximum, minimum, and you can do some plotting or others. So I will give it the link in description if you want to check in details, but I will skip it for now. This was the basics of the pandas, and yeah, of course there will be errors because we don't have NBA players list, but it was a project I did earlier, so that's why I wanted to name it. So finally we have Matplotlib Basics that I will talk about very quickly. So we have matplotlib.pyplot as plot. We are importing the plots, and we will also going to need numpy as np, and if I were to say x equals np, it's a number pi is lin space, which is a linear space of 0, 10 and 100, and y equals np dot sinus of x. And if I want to have the plot for these variables, I can say x, y. It will have a label called sine wave, and I will give it color blue. Why not? Blue is nice. Plot x label. I will give it a name. I will call it x axis. Same for the y, plot.y label. I will give it y axis as a name, and for title of our plot I will call it sine wave plot, and legend and format show, so we can actually see our plot. And as you can see, we made a simple plot using Matplotlib, and basically I just give it a linear space with numbers 0, 10 and 100, and then we got the sinus for these numbers, which is between +1 and -1, and we had a sine wave labeled graphic in blue color. You can change it to red if you want. It's totally up to you. You can change the names. The x-axis I called it x-axis, y-axis I called it y-axis. The title of the plot, this one is sine wave plot, and I set legend and show. So we have our matplot sheet. There's also some cheat sheets I will share in the comments. Finally, just to summarize everything, I will show everything we did in more organized way in VS Code, which is not very different than Jupyter Notebook. It works. We have our data types and variables, integers, floats, strings and booleans. And let's use the latest. As you can see, our x is an integer, our y is float, our name is a string, and our boolean is a boolean. Bool is called in Python. We did some string manipulations. We did strip the text, remove the white space. We lowered the text to lowercase. We uppered the case to uppercase. We replaced the Python with world. In this case, it was hello Python, and we replaced, and now it's hello world. And we had some string formatting, which we had a name, Alice, and age 25. And we made it say, my name is Alice and I am 25 years old. We did some list operations. We have a number list 1 to 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. We appended an element, which is 6. Let's go one by one. We append an element, which is 6, and then we are inserting 10 at the index of 2, which is 0, 1, 2. Index of 2 is here at this. In programming, we start from 0 when we are counting, and we are removing 3. As you can see, it's gone, and when we want to pop, it removes the last element. If you give it an index, it will remove a specified index, and we can comprehension the lists. If I want to say squared list is x squared for x in numbers, which will give us the squared list. As you can see, this was our numbers list, and this is the squared version. We have conditional statements and loops. A for loop is a very common one. We are iterating for number and each number in numbers, which was 1 to 5, but now it changed, so maybe let's just comment this out. So we have a list of numbers 1 to 6. for each number in numbers, if they are, when they are modulated by 2, if the remaining is 0, which means they are even, it will print even, and the number, and when they have something left from dividing by 2, which means they are not even, they are odds, in that case it will print they are odd. And we have a while loop example, which we have a counter at 0 at the beginning, but when we count, it's incrementing by 1 in each calling, and it will count the number, it will print count and the number you are at. And let's say, yes, we have numbers of items 1 to 6, and it prints odd, even, odd, even. We are counting until 5, which is here. In the last loop, the count will be 5, so we don't print 5, we just end at 4. We have dictionaries and sets. We have a dictionary, key and value. Key is name and age and grade. In this case, we have names Alice as a value, age 22 as a value, and grade A as a value. When we print the specific key, we get the name of we get the value of the key. We can add another key value pair, which would give you student just say print student, then we can see all of the values. You are adding a new key and value, which is key is city and value is Berlin, and now we have a new updated student. Then we have unique sets. A set it can have multiple of the same value, but it will not repeat when you are using it. And you can using add method to add new numbers in the sets. And as you can see, even though we have 2 fours, we only print once on the output. We have functions and lambda expressions. We are calling a function called greet, which is greeting the name. You give it as an input and print and returns hello name. We are giving the name Alice, and it will return hello Alice. And we have lambda functions, which is a basically function, but only in you can declare it in one line, like when you don't want to use the same function again and again. In this case, I can greet as many names as I want, but lambda is like one-time use functions mostly. We have file handling. We can write a file and write whatever we want, and then get the same file and save the contents and read them, which in this case I made a new file. I write hello, this is a test file. Then I open the same file using open and read. This is write for writing, this is read for reading. And we are printing the contents of the file, which is here. We have regex expressions. We are importing regex. And then we can have pattern. B means there's a word that around the part we are looking for, which we are looking for Python. And we will match, and we will search the pattern in our text. And in this case, it will check our text, it will search our text and find the pattern, which is Python, and there's words in right and left, so it will print Python, not no match. We have pandas. Pandas is basically data frame usage. We have a variable called data, which is a dictionary, which has a key name and value, a list value with 2 names, Alice, Bob, and Charlie. We have a key age with 2 values for age, 22, 25, and 30. And we are creating a data frame from this data using pandas pd, and when we print the data frame, you can see index 0 is Alice, name Alice, age 22, index 1 Bob, age 25, index 2 name Charlie, age 30. And to describe the general details of our data frame, we have 3 counted items. We have the mean of 25.666 and other details we might need in the describe method. And lastly, we have Matplotlib Basics, which we are importing Matplotlib pyplot as PLT, is general use case. You can import NumPy as MP, general use case. And you can have X variable, which is a NumPy in linear space, which will values of 0, 10, and 100. And in Y value, we are getting the NumPy sinus of the X values. And I want to create a plot. I am calling plot plt.plot, which is to create a plot. You give it scale X, scale Y, and label and color in our case. X will be linear space. Let me call it. Okay. X is our 0, 10, and 100. Y is sinus of X. We have a sine wave called line. It is blue. You can change the color. Let's say that, and it will change. X label, I will call it x-axis. You can change the name here. Y-axis, named here. The title of the plot is sine wave plot, which is here. And we are basically function. We have 2 functions to show the plot, and this is our plot. So thank you for watching. It wasn't an recording I was expecting to do. I just wanted to practice everything and record it while I am doing it. I don't think I did a good explanation, but if you know some stuff, you will understand what I say. I hope. I really hope. And thank you for watching, and see you later.